Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Matt, welcome to the Roads of Oz. And this is the first ride back on the Moto Guzzi Griso since I had that horrible wobble, which at first I thought was coming from the front tyre. It turns out I was dead wrong. So what happened is I took it to the mechanics where I had the tyre put on. They checked it over. So they found that the rear wheel, all the spokes had worked loose, which was quite weird. It wasn't one or two of them, it was quite a few. And it actually had a bit of flex, well not a bit of flex, a lot of flex in the rear. You'd see the tyre doing this when they put weight on the bike. So pretty much when I was decelerating, that's what I was experiencing, was the thing flexing and the rear tyre wobbling, and that transferring to the front of the bike, and that's why I thought it was the front tyre. So far so good. I've taken it around a few corners at low speed and that's where I felt it, and so far it hasn't wobbled at all. Now, would that put me off buying a motorcycle with spokes? Well, absolutely not. I've had this bike coming up 6 years, and that's the first issue I've ever had with the spokes. And considering I've put on close to 40,000 kilometres, maybe a touch over, that's not too bad. So the bike's good to go for a few longer rides, which I've got coming up next month. So fingers crossed everything stays nice and healthy on the Griso. Oh, that's bright. Come on. No helmets. Unreal. Anyway, can't put brains in stupid. So we're coming up to 3 to 4 years since Holden closed down in their production plant in Australia, and I've started to notice there's been a change on our roads. Like, you don't see as many Commodores, it might just be me, but you'll slowly see less and less Commodores and Ford Falcons for that matter. Now the police services in New South Wales, that was their car of choice. Majority of them, Holden Commodores, Ford Falcons, and especially the V8 Commodores in Highway Patrol. Now we're seeing a bit of a shift. Now you see the Highway Patrol guys in the Chrysler 300, the SRT models, and because they've got a lot of poke and they can pretty much catch anything. But that's probably been a bit of a boom for the Chrysler sales in Australia. But the one that's, and you know, there's only two people that drive Chryslers, you know. The stereotype is you either see coppers or criminals in them. I think that's a bit harsh. I think the Chrysler, the SRTs look fantastic, but that's just the stereotype they had. There was an article a few years back that one of a notorious gang member wanted all his associates and gang members driving black Chrysler 300Cs. So that didn't help the image of the car. But the other car is a 5 Series. Now, BMW's always been seen as a prestige car, and I'm just wondering, now that there's going to be more of them on the road, will that lose some of the prestige for BMW, especially in the 5 Series range? Will that stop their regular buyers that used to buy 5 Series, or are they just that good that their regular customers may be put off by them being used by blue collar workers in police officers? And also more people will own them because there'll be more on the market. There'll be more on the second-hand market, so you'd expect a dip in the price of them. But that's definitely something to watch. Also, if you go to buy a second-hand BMW, there's a good chance it's an ex-cop car. Speaking of police, they no longer in Commodores or in Hyundais. Just recently, Facebook dropped all of the news outlets' feeds from their page. All the news outlets are up in arms over it. When I joined Facebook, I joined it to keep in touch with my friends and see what they're up to. I really couldn't give a stuff what the news outlets were saying. And you find some of the worst comments and the biggest trolls were on those news feeds anyway. Since they've been gone, I found Facebook a much happier place. What's annoying is the government's brought in legislation, you know, to make Facebook pay for news content. Yep, I've got this. So back to where was I? Yeah, so Facebook, the government's bringing in legislation for that Facebook has to pay the Australian news agents or the news outlets money to use their content. And what gets me is why is the government so interested in this? It's really just one tax dodging company trying to extort money out of another tax dodging company. At no stage has the government talked about how it would benefit us. Would there be more, you know, would there be a financial gain or benefit? The only benefit is to the government's boss or their financial backer, Rupert Murdoch, and he loves getting money for nothing. So what does Facebook do? They go, we'll play your game. It's only 4% of our business that would be affected. It's going to cost too much, so we dropped it. For a government that sings the praises of a free market, this is exactly what a free market does. They decide to drop ranges. Now, I didn't see them up in arms when YouTube decided to change their monetization rules, and you know what? It was there. It was done as a business decision. It was to improve their business model for advertisers. And you know what? Their house, their rules. We want to play on YouTube, then we've got to follow their rules. Simple as that. But no, not News Limited, because they've been running a protection racket for years for the government. Now they're calling in their favours, and especially because the government looks like they're continually in the shit, and Fox News can only run cover for them for so long. They're trying to get the favours in now. So Google agreed to pay an amount to those news providers. Now, none of the smaller news providers get any money, it's just the big ones. So again, all they're doing is looking after tax dodging companies. I don't get it. Well, I do. All it is the Liberal Party's bosses making sure their donors are kept happy. They don't give them that money just out of the goodness of their hearts. Anyway, more a bit later. All right. Not a bad feed. If you're ever over Cashula way, the sushi hub's not too bad, and the coffee and cake shop next to it is pretty good as well. Anyway, I've got a feed now, the brain's working a bit better. So back to the Facebook bit. Our government's always up for a free market until it doesn't agree with their donors. When the free market fails, they've always got their hands out calling in the favours because you get nothing for nothing. And you see a lot of negative press about Facebook. They just made a decision. Now, I never bothered setting up Facebook for my Roads of Oz account because it was just too negative a place. Like, it was one of the worst. I don't mind Instagram because most people are, you know, they're just there to see what you're doing. But Facebook, it just brings out the worst. Twitter's not much better. So I don't really use my Twitter account that much. You didn't come here to listen to me rant about politics. Whoop. Come see me ride bikes. So far the Griso, feeling very smooth. Decelerate, running beautiful. Next job on the Griso will definitely be getting a tune. I think I want to get the bike tuned to suit the exhaust I have on it. And hit a bit of a milestone on this one. We've hit 100,000 views on my channel. Now, my channel wasn't always called Roads of Oz. It started out as Griso Guy, because originally I was going to make content for the Motor Goodsy Griso, but realised that was just too narrow a segment, and I just wanted to talk more about all things on the road, because I love bikes, I love cars, so why not combine the passion and have it all on the one channel? So last year I made the jump. I went on Fiverr and had someone design a logo for me, and that's the logo you see now. And I thought I'd give this a good go. I even registered my website address, www.roadsofOz.com.au. I haven't done too much yet, it's still more in the beta phase. I'm still umming and ahhing on what I'm going to do with it, but thought I'd register it, thought I'd have a go, and that's the whole idea of me doing YouTube, is to learn new things, and building a website is definitely one of those. Hey, thanks. I hope you stick around. Got more rides coming up, I've got some interesting cars I'm going to do a video on, not so much a review, but definitely videos on. More bikes. I'm going to delve a little more into the second-hand market. As you know, I'm doing up Ducatis, and they drain on the wallet, but that's all right. I love Italian bikes, if you hadn't guessed already. But yeah, I just pretty much to say thank you. Anyway, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Help me achieve the goal. If I've got enough subscribers, I'll be able to approach manufacturers and see if I can actually get vehicles and actually do a proper review on them. That's always been the goal of the channel. It was never about money. Lucky that, otherwise it would have been an epic failure. It cost money, that's for sure. But that's all right. It's still fun, and while I'm still enjoying it, I'll keep cracking out videos. Anyway, thanks again, and we'll be back to normal. Programming on the next video. Hope to see you there. Bye now. Punch it. All right, back to normal.